Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new here, I am Ellie. Welcome, I'm so happy to have you. And for those of you coming back, thank you guys so much for sticking around. I appreciate every single one of you. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different on my channel. We are going to be talking about menstrual cups. Yes, we're gonna be talking about periods. So if that makes you uncomfortable, then this is probably not the video for you and you're going to want to click out now. But for those of you that are curious as to why I made the switch to the menstrual cup, then please keep watching. So to start out, let's talk a little bit about what the menstrual cup is. So basically a menstrual cup is just an alternative to traditional tampons and pads that we are used to. A menstrual cup comes in a lot of different varieties. Actually, there are several different brands now that have their own menstrual cups. I will put pictures of a few different ones up here on the screen so that you know there are a lot of options. You can definitely do some research of your own and decide which one is going to be best for you. I'm sure that there is an option out there for each and every one of you. They are made of hypoallergenic materials and they are inserted into the vagina just like a tampon would be. So let's get into a little bit of why I decided to make the switch to a menstrual cup. Well, first and foremost, the main reason that I made the switch is for environmental reasons. Every year there are about 200,000 tons of waste that is created by our feminine hygiene products. So that includes pads, panty liners, tampons, all of that, and its packaging creates that amount of waste. Can you imagine? That is a crazy number to think about. Now, of course, that number can seem very overwhelming and it can make you think, well, what is the point in me making the switch if overall this large, huge amount of waste is being created every year anyway? Well, obviously the change has to start somewhere. So if each one of us starts to make that change, we will make a difference overall. We all know that big corporations are going to be the main contributors of pollution and of waste into our environment and into our landfills. But that is where we come in and we start to make the change. And that way, companies know by supply and demand what they are going to be producing, how much product they're going to be selling, and they can determine whether they need to start producing less of these items. Hopefully, in the long run, or as people start to become more aware, we will be using less and less of these products. And maybe some of these companies will switch and try to find alternatives like the menstrual cup of their own. So a little snippet of information that helped me kind of grasp a little bit more of how much impact I can create and how much waste I would create was this little kind of statistic that I read. So basically it states that if a woman menstruates for 40 years of her life and she uses about 20 tampons per cycle, she will create 9,600 tampons of waste. Now that might not seem like a lot, but that is a very general scenario, not taking into account the fact that women have all sorts of different periods, meaning how long they last, how many years of their life they're going to be menstruating for, and the products that they use. But even with just that scenario that we're taking into consideration, those 9,600 tampons each will take 6 months to break down in a landfill. And that is just taking into consideration the actual tampon portion that is inserted, because those are the only portion of the tampon that takes 6 months to break down. That's not taking into consideration plastic applicators and the boxes that they come in and the wrapper and that sort of thing. Now, if we get into pads, that's actually way worse. Pads are kind of more on the level of disposable diapers in the sense that they can take anywhere from 500 to 800 years to break down. And that is what is most insane to me. The fact that it can take 500 to 800 years, that is so far beyond my lifetime, and it seems so unfair for me to contribute waste that is going to be around 500, 600, 700, almost 800 more years than I am on this earth. That is just crazy to me, because that is contributing to a problem that I am not going to be around to solve or deal with, which is kind of something that I touched on in my other video. But I don't want to do that to other people in the future, and they're the ones that are going to have to deal with the consequences of my actions. Now, this is all just stuff and information that the general public, for the most part, is not aware of. And this is why I don't judge anyone that uses any of these disposable products, things like pads, tampons, even disposable diapers. As many of you guys know, for the beginning of Thomas's life, we did use disposable diapers. And obviously for the majority of my adult menstruating life, I have been using pads and tampons because that's all I really knew about. And those were really the only options that I was given and that I knew existed for many, many years. Ignorance in this case is just very commonly widespread, especially in our country, because we have the convenience and the accessibility to these disposable products. So rather than judge anyone, I always try to inform people when appropriate. You don't want to just randomly out of nowhere start telling people, hey, did you know that you're contributing 9,600 tampons of waste a year or in your lifetime? No one wants you to be that abrupt about it. So that's why I thought creating this video would be kind of helpful and informative. Instead of just saying tampons and pads are bad, I want to make sure that you know what other options are out there for you. And I also thought about making this video because I thought if I can help one person possibly make the switch, then that's also a little bit more of an impact that I am creating, a little bit more of a positive impact, hopefully. Another big concern for a lot of people with regards to tampons specifically is the fact that they're putting something inside of their body that might be created with harsh chemicals, chemicals that are dangerous, that sort of thing. To be completely fair and honest, I just don't know enough information about these chemicals and about what possible effects they may have on humans to give you that information. But there are a ton of articles out there, and if you need more information and more convincing factors to make the switch, then please, I encourage all of you to go ahead and do some more research on that topic. To me, in all honesty, the environmental aspect is enough for me to make the switch. Thomas is gonna join us now because he's being a little cranky, but yeah, I always kind of felt a little awkward about sticking a random piece of like cotton up there and thinking about the possible like fibers and stuff that it might leave behind. And this is me not trying to like spread any misinformation or anything out there, because obviously I don't know the specifics or if that could actually be bad, but it's just kind of like a random thought that I've always had. Kiddo, he sees the mic and he's apparently very interested in the microphone right now. So let's get into a little bit about how you use a menstrual cup. And once you get the hang of it, it's really not that complicated. To me, it was intimidating at first, just kind of looking at it and thinking, how is this even gonna go up there? Is it gonna leak? What's the deal with this thing, basically? And for the most part, what I will say is that the learning curve comes in learning your anatomy. So basically, you want to figure out how to insert this in there so that it fits you comfortably and doesn't leak. For example, for me, I learned that when I put this little guy in, I have to face it back and up, not just straight up, if that makes any sense, because we're not really built that way to just go straight up. It's kind of more back and up. At least that's how my anatomy is set up. But again, you guys have to figure out what is going to work for you. There are a few different folds that people do. Some people fold it like half in this way and then again to create this kind of a fold before they go ahead and insert this. For myself, I have found that the easiest one to do is where you grab one side or one wall of the cup and you push it all the way down, and then you fold that tip. So it's going to look like so. And then I have this little guy right here, and that's what I go backwards and up with. So it sounds kind of weird, but really it's mostly just playing around with it and figuring out how to get it in there. Now there's a couple of things that you can do position wise to put it in. One, you can put your leg up on something like the toilet if you're in a restroom, obviously, or you can squat down. For myself, a pro tip is definitely doing this in the shower, because that's going to be a lot less messy and you can just dump out your cup in the shower, obviously. So this is gonna probably sound gross to some people, but really, I mean, periods are natural. It is what it is. There's blood, it comes out every month and we throw it out. I mean, the only difference is now you're either going to be flushing that period blood down the toilet or you can throw it down the drain in your bath. So what are some downsides to the menstrual cup? Well, for one, we've just kind of discussed it a little bit. There is a little bit of a learning curve to it. So at first it might not be sitting in there right. You want to make sure that once you have it in there, you hear like an opening or suctioning in there. And what you can do to make sure that it is in there correctly is you can use your finger and kind of, let me show you the cup for demonstration purposes, but you can move your finger around the cup to make sure that it has opened up, because that's how you'll be able to tell that you're not gonna leak. If the cup stays folded in there, then obviously you can have some leaking going on. But to be honest, there's just so many more pros than cons for me. All right, we put Thomas away. We put him away. We didn't put him away. We put him down. But anyway, so to me, there's just so many more pros than cons to making the switch to a menstrual cup. For one, you never have to worry about forgetting a pad or tampon at home again, because you will have the device already inside, basically. But for the most part, you're not even gonna have to worry about changing while you're out and about, because you can leave the cup in for 12 hours. So for myself, for example, usually what I do is I switch it first thing in the morning, and then in the evening before I go to bed. So it's perfect. It really makes life so much easier to not have to worry about changing when you're out and about. And of course, my main reason for it all is you are creating less waste. I think that's going to pretty much wrap up all of the information that I have to share with you guys. If you have used a menstrual cup before, let me know your experiences down below. If you've used a cup other than the Diva cup and you really like it, then leave those recommendations down below for other people to see. And if you have any other questions about menstrual cups, then also leave them in the comments down below. I will be happy to answer them if I have information, or lead you in the right direction if I can. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content, and I will see you all soon. Thank you.